Youta Narukame encounters a young girl who claims to be Odin. He and his friend Ashura are skeptical of her and dismiss her claims. Youta learns that her real name is Hina, while trying to convince her to go home. Hina refuses and ends up going to the library with him to study with his childhood friend Koyoko, and they are then kicked out. Youta starts to believe in her abilities after they eat at a ramen shop where Hina correctly identifies the finishing position of a horse race. Hina then offers Youta her abilities to assist him in wooing Koyoko. Afterwards, Yota's mother eagerly welcomes Hina to stay at their home. Youta and Hina arrive at Yota's house where Hina is welcomed. Youta agrees to appear in Sora's movie. Hina decides to write the script so he can woo Koyoko. However, this plan fails. Hina later reveals that Koyoko plans to become a music director. As such, Hina helps Youta write a song. When Youta attempts to play the song for Koyoko, he struggles to do so, which leads to her playing it instead. That night, a bruised Sora is brought to the house by her senpai. The next morning, Sora awakens to reveal that Hikari, her senpai, works at her mother's failing ramen shop, and she was helping Hikari deal with a loan shark. Hina decides to help out by having Youta pretend to be Sora's uncle, so he acts as a business consultant. He then makes sweeping changes at the shop, which causes it to become a huge success. Back at the shop, Hikari is confronted by the loan shark where Youta, with Hina's help, defeats him. Afterwards, Hikari reveals that she knew the truth about who Youta was and she thanks him, Hina and Sora, for helping her. Later, a mysterious boy whose name is Hiroto Suzuki is working for a company to discover the secret of Korogi, a physicist in hiding. Hiroto starts his investigation by having the CEO interview Dr. Asama, the co-author of Korogi's thesis. Hina wins the Mahjong preliminaries online under Yota's name. She reveals she did this in order to ensure that Youta meets Kako in person at a Mahjong tournament she is organizing. Youta heads out to compete with the Libertarias Cup. In the waiting room, Youta meets Kako. Once the match starts, Youta follows Hina's instructions, which initially has him in last place. However, as the match continues, he starts to make a comeback when he uses unconventional methods, which impresses Kako. As such, Youta ultimately wins the Libertas Cup. After the match, Kako attempts to seduce Youta, but he turns her down. Koyoko tries to convince her father to visit her mother's grave without success. At the library, Koyoko reveals to Youta how her father has been a recluse since her mother died. Hina decides to have Youta get Koyoko's father out of his house. When they arrive there, Youta finally succeeds when he claims that he needs help buying Koyoko a birthday present. Koyoko's father reveals that his wife left video messages, and he asks Youta and Hina to not tell Koyoko about them. Hina later uses Yota's phone in order to pretend to be Koyoko's mother. During the conversation between Hina and Koyoko, Hina mentions the video messages. She and her father watch them together. That night, Koyoko arrives at Yota's house to thank them. However, he does not confess his feelings. Youta dreams of him and Ashura competing in a high school basketball game. Hina later convinces Youta to call and invite his friends to a summer festival taking place. During this time, Ashura and Youta reminisce about their friendship. Meanwhile, Hina seemingly gets jealous of Youta and Koyoko's improving relationship. She walks off where she heads inside a refrigerated truck that closes and drives off. The group realizes she's missing and searches for her. When Youta and Ashura find Hina's items on the ground, they learn from another truck driver the direction where the truck is headed. They give chase on Ashura's motorcycle and are ultimately able to get the driver to stop. Once everyone reunites, they watch the fireworks together. Youta is in his room, studying when Hina walks in, saying the world will end in 9 days and Sora had finished the script for her movie. When Youta reads the script, he enjoys it. He then gathers his friends to help shoot the movie while they are taking a break. Youta tells Hina how he has enjoyed hanging out with her and he praises her for helping everybody. When the shoot resumes, there are problems with the CG until Hina finally fixes it. Later that night, Youta teases Hina about how much she enjoyed herself. Meanwhile, Hiroto is still investigating when he finds Korogi's torn-down house. When he learns the possessions have been sent to a recycling plant, he heads there just in time to grab a picture that has Hina in it. Hina has a dream where she is with her grandfather. While everyone is at the set, Youta wonders what is going to happen once summer ends. When he expresses his concern to his parents, they reveal that Hina is actually the granddaughter of their mentor, and that Hina's father abandoned her. After Youta has conversation with Hina about when she became a god, they decide to go meet her father. When they arrive at his house, Hina's father and stepmother, Toshikotu and Satou, are shocked when they see Hina in person. While Youta and Toshikotu are alone, Toshikotu reveals that Hina was born with a debilitating condition known as Logos syndrome, which caused him to abandon her when he realized there was nothing he could do to help her. Later that night, Hiroto shows up to Toshikotu's house. While everyone is at the set, Hiroto secretly observes Hina and Youta. He then decides to go home to continue his analysis. At his house, Hiroto makes a shocking discovery. A dream Hiroto has reveals that his abusive parents used his hacking skills to launder money. The next day, Hiroto reports to the CEO his findings of a chip-sized quantum computer Korogi completed. However, she denies his request to analyze it, much to his frustration. Back at his house, Hiroto uses his skills to find the computer. During his search, he remembers when his parents were murdered. Afterwards, Hiroto tells the CEO that the computer was planted in Hina's head, which explains her miraculous recovery and omniscience. When Hiroto realizes Hina's in trouble, he warns her. As such, she tells everyone that her world will end soon. They are then approached by men in suits. While he's at school, Youta encounters Hiroto, who claims to be a new transfer student. He then hangs out with Youta and his friends. Several months later, however, a frustrated Hiroto calls out Youta for not understanding why he befriended him. Just as he is about to leave, Youta catches up with him after he realizes Hiroto was creating the days he spent with Hina. Hiroto reveals that Hina is alive and he knows her location. That night, he takes Youta into the Yamada Sanatorium. Inside, Youta meets Shiba, a visiting researcher, and she takes him to see Hina. There, Shiba reveals that cranial surgery was performed on Hina, and she has an extreme fear of men. Youta reveals that he is permitted to spend an hour with Hina. However, she rejects him. While they are alone, Shiba tells Youta that he has to look at Hina in the eye before he can gain their trust. When they meet up again, she tells him that Hina might have lost their memories following the surgery. He decides to bring a video game so Hina can play it. However, she gets stuck. Youta later decides to play the game overnight in order to help Hina. As he talks to Hina, she recognizes and pronounces the names of his family. However, when he shows her his picture, she throws it to the ground. Shiba tells Youta that his time is up. Hina starts crying and tries to walk towards Youta, saying she loves him. Youta takes Hina home and everyone agrees to complete the movie. Everyone watches the movie together. At the end of the movie, Hina reveals in a making-of interview that her memories are so beautiful that they will never disappear, and she refers to them as an eternal treasure.